Hey guys, so in this video I really wanted to just kind of do a more of a deep dive into the animation blueprint of everything as it stands. So really a couple of things evolved. So in the ground locomotion state, I kind of rewired it a little bit. So now it's kind of got two blend states where we've got this idle state and we've got a movement state. So the first thing in the idle state, which was pretty cool, was basically doing 90-degree sidestepping. So if I show you now, if I turn the camera, instead of just sliding the character on its feet, it's basically every 90 degrees, it's just doing a step round in both directions. So that was kind of the first piece of the puzzle. And then the next part was really the movement system. So we basically have the crouch walk, the walk with aim, and running backwards, and the standard locomotion with lean. So if I go through the crouch walk, so basically, if you press the shift key now, you can trigger some walk animations. That was quite interesting to learn how to retarget animations and do some cleanup. It's not brilliant, but it's good enough. Next one was basically changing some parameters for walking when aiming. So when you focus on aiming, you basically slow down your movement, and it slows down the kind of amount that you can move your camera. Running backwards is self-explanatory, and then the next one was upgrading the locomotion system with lean. This was actually really interesting to kind of learn about how to calculate all the different yaws to get relative leaning kind of information. So if I move my camera really fast, as you can see, the upper torso is kind of twisting and leaning into the animation. So that was actually really interesting to learn, quite complicated. And a bit fiddly to get all working. As you can see, it's still a little bit weird if you smash backwards and forwards, but generally it works pretty well. So if I go back, we basically have all of the updated locomotion. And then in here, the next stage is basically caching in a jump to the locomotion. And then we're adding in the weapon fire montage into the next one. And then this is basically just blending the top half. So basically the bottom half of the body continuously does the locomotion. And then we've got our fire system on, or our fire animations and aiming poses on the top half. So go down, we have aiming the upper body. So this is what I was saying about the poses for aiming the upper body. And it's using an enum to basically switch between the different weapon types, which is really cool to learn about. And then let's go back. So we've got hip to aim, which was basically just blending into the aim state and the hip state. So when you're firing, you basically have two states where you can zoom in and zoom out. So that was quite cool, just learning some camera tricks for field of view and stuff like that. After that, we've got gun aiming offsets. So this was really cool. So it's basically blending between some different aiming offsets. So basically there's some animation poses or blend spaces which just do all the aiming offsets like that, which are all additive. So basically if you watch the weapon, it's kind of moving towards the middle still, instead of twisting completely of the character. So another thing really interesting to learn about. Next thing was counter rotating the root bone while not moving. So that was kind of in conjunction with the sidestepping. So basically you're calculating the yaw offset, and then once it gets to 90 degrees, you're then basically shooting the animation and then rotating it 90 degrees of the root bone. So it basically looks like it's sidestepping rather than sliding between the degrees. Next part was rotating the hips in the direction of the counter. So basically to make better use of the blend space when you're blending into the quarters. So if I go forward, it's fine, but if you go sideways and forwards, you basically want the hips to move in the direction of where you're going, so you don't get overlapping feet. So this was really cool. So it's basically rotating the root bone by the vector kind of pointing in the direction of movement, but then counter rotating the hips So it looks like it's locking in place. So that was really interesting, really fiddly as well to get working. But yeah, I was quite happy when they all come together. And then this is basically more limiting for that hip. So basically you're not always doing it. And then it gets to the fabric section. So basically I'm using fabric like K-solvers to basically snap the left hand on the position of the weapon. So that basically you need your hand in slightly different positions for what different weapons you've got. And then you're cashing out that. And then after we're doing that, we've got a blend or disabling the fabric when reloading, just so that it doesn't mess up the clip bone. And then after that, it's going into the output. So loads of stuff learned in this. Yeah, it was really interesting to kind of see everything layer up. And I'm pretty happy with the outcome, so I think you can get quite a lot of good movements. So yeah, really happy with that. Cheers.